Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Global Admissions and China Admissions Q&A. Today, I'm going to be taking you through our schedule, and we are going to be taking a quick look at the agenda. So take a look over here. So if we take a look at the agenda, after the opening, I'm going to be sharing my study abroad experience. And then after that, my colleague Nadia is going to be sharing her study abroad experience. After that, we are going to be introducing China admissions, and my colleague Nadia will be doing that. And then after that, I will be introducing global admissions and the different services we have. After this, we will finally have our open Q&A. So you guys can ask us any questions, and we will be opening the microphones and talking to you guys about these questions and giving you your answers. Okay, so let's get started then. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing about my time in China. So when I was 19 years old, I moved to Shenzhen, China, to do a gap year. And this was my first time ever being abroad, really. And it was definitely a very big experience for me. I'd always wanted to study abroad, and I never really thought that I would do that in China. However, I did get the opportunity when friends of my family members happened to be Chinese and started introducing more about the culture and the options to do so. So I started considering it, and they were based in Shenzhen. So I started looking into Shenzhen. So I'll take you through where that's located, because China is a very big country. So you can see this is the map of China. And here right at the bottom, we have Shenzhen. Now that is right next to Hong Kong, across the border from Hong Kong in the south of China. And it is known as the Silicon Valley of the East and is one of the fastest growing cities in the world. It is now the fourth most important city in China. So it was definitely a very different experience for me as someone who is used to growing up in a small South African town, being in Africa all the time, and not really being exposed to like a lot of people and a lot of different cultures. So it was a very different experience. And then I started thinking about possibly studying in China at Shenzhen University. Here you can see a lovely picture of Shenzhen University. It's got a very beautiful campus. I started in Shenzhen University in 2018, a year after I arrived in China. I decided to do an undergraduate in Chinese language and culture. And I managed to skip 1 year because the previous year I had been studying Chinese by myself, and I'd managed to write HSK4 within 1 year. And then I was able to skip into the second year. So I managed to graduate in 2021, and it was a very great experience to be there because I was there before the pandemic and during the pandemic as well. I definitely think it was probably the best decision of my life. I met so many people that I hold very close to me today in this university. And I think that it's a very important thing for a lot of people. When you go abroad, you definitely learn to stand on your own two legs. You learn to become an adult. You learn to rely on yourself, and you get to meet people of other cultures. And for a lot of other people, when you grow up, you don't really get to have that experience. You don't really get to meet people from different cultures. And I think this is a great way to learn respect for different cultures and different people, and to be compassionate. You gain a new perspective of life. And it's also, a great way to keep open-minded. Another great advantage for me studying in China was that I got to learn a new language, which was very helpful for me in my future career. As learning Chinese has become part of many things that I do now in my adult life. For many people, when they decide to study abroad, they might not necessarily want to go to a country where they have to learn a new language, which is also understandable. There are also, in many different countries, you do have the possibility of studying in English, as that is your first language. And however, I do think that if you are able to learn a little bit of the language, whether you decide to go to university in Italy or Germany or wherever you decide to go, if you learn a little bit of the language, I think that's very helpful for you, and then also very helpful for your career later on as well. So here I'm going to talk about some of the general benefits of studying abroad. So this is what I've experienced and what a lot of people who I've studied with have also experienced. So one of the first things is that there are a lot of career benefits to studying abroad. So there are a lot of career benefits, and I think that when it comes to that, you're always going to have like when people see that you've studied abroad, it's definitely a way that your employer can see that you have gained a new perspective, you've lived in a different country, you know how to deal with different people as well. So I think that is very beneficial. If you've been able to study in a country that has maybe better education than the country you were born in has, you are obviously, they're going to see that you have a very high level of education. You are also going to be able to see that you're also going to have a lot of different working experiences or working opportunities, because you've studied maybe in a different country than your own. So you can apply to jobs in your own country, and then also in jobs in that country, and possibly jobs in countries surrounding that one as well. Depending also on if you've learned a new language, that opens more job opportunities for yourself. You're then also able to gain a global mindset where you meet people from different areas in life, and you're able to gain a lot of different perspectives. And I think that is very helpful as well. You're able to become a lot more self-reliant. I think everyone knows that when you go to university, you have to learn how to do your own washing. You have to learn how to cook your own food. You have to learn to become completely independent. And you might have to do extra things like opening a bank account in a foreign language, or having to try and buy things at the supermarket in a foreign language. And I think that definitely builds a lot of character that's very beneficial for you. So the last thing I want to talk about is, where will you decide to go? I decided to go to China, and I think that that was beneficial for me. However, that might not be the best decision for you right now, especially with the pandemic. The Chinese borders are closed. So a lot of people, they want to go abroad, they want to study in that country, and that might not be the option for you right now. So there are many other countries where you can choose to study. And I am a big advocate for studying abroad. I think it's a great option. And I do think that it's possible for most people. I think before, people used to think, well, it was a very elitist thing to do. You had to have a lot of money to study abroad. It was very, very difficult. And it wasn't really possible for everyone. But I'm here to say that as someone who did not grow up in very, very good circumstances, it is definitely possible. There are opportunities in other countries. They are maybe not in the countries that you thought they were. And that's why I also think that you should keep an open mind when you are looking for universities abroad, because there are so many great opportunities. It might not necessarily be in the places you want it to be. That being said, there is also no such thing as a free meal. So when you apply to universities, even if they are no tuition fee universities or extremely low cost universities, or if they have a lot of scholarship options,
you have to realize that there's always going to be extra fees involved when moving to another country. So even if you do apply for a no tuition fee university, that you will still be expected to cover your cost of living when living in that country. You still have to pay for textbooks and for certain administrative fees. You will still have to pay to move to that country. So those are things to keep in mind, that if you are applying for a scholarship, those are not things that the scholarships will be covering. Okay, and I wish you guys luck, and I'm going to hand off to Nadia now, that's going to talk about her study abroad experience.
Hey guys, this is Nadia. So I hope you guys can see me and hear me okay. So yeah, so today I'm gonna be talking about my experiences studying abroad. And yeah, I mean, although I also do study in China, but I believe that the experiences of studying abroad, regardless where you study, is giving a lot of benefits for your future. And given that currently the world is getting more and more connected, definitely getting an international experience will give something valuable to your life. Anyway, so we can go on to the to my sharing about my experience studying abroad. So I'm Nadia Wijaya, and then you can call me Nadia. So I'm a student recruitment manager right now at China Admissions or Global Admissions, and then I'm originally from Indonesia. So I used to be based in Beijing, but with COVID going on, it's getting postponed now, especially because it's harder to get the visa and also to arrange the flights. But yeah, hopefully everything will be normalized, so we all can go back to China, or if you are going to China or wherever you go, everything can go smoothly from now. So yeah, and then for my international studies experience, so I used to study in Beijing, and then I studied in University of International Business and Economics in Beijing from 2017 to 2019 to get my master's degree. And also, other than that, I got my Chinese government scholarship. So it's a fully funded scholarship from the Chinese government that supports me throughout my entire studies, so I can study for free from the support of the Chinese government. And then, so a little bit about me is that I'm from Indonesia, as I mentioned, and this is my hometown. It's called Surabaya in Indonesia. So I grew up here all my life. So I was born here, and then I was basically raised in Surabaya, and I finished my education all the way until bachelor's in Surabaya as well. And then I had a dream. I have a long life dream to actually be able to live abroad, you know, to go somewhere fun and then just experience something new. And it's always been a dream of mine since I was a child, actually, because I was thinking probably I should go to Singapore, because Singapore is actually closer to Indonesia. So I could just, you know, probably if I need to go back home, I could just do it easily, and my parents can actually visit me easily. So it was becoming a dream since I think I was in around junior high at that time. I was thinking probably I can go to overseas to pursue my studies, maybe to go do my senior high school there or my university there. And then finally, I had the chance to do it after I finished my bachelor's. And then after I finished my bachelor's, after I worked for some time, almost a year, and then I finally got the chance to pursue my dream, which is to study abroad, because I managed to fly to Beijing and then study there from 2017 to 2019. So it was an awesome experience, and it's also my first time going that far away from home. So I usually not I usually don't travel that far by myself, but going to Beijing is one of the furthest trip I had that time. And then I was so nervous, but I was so excited as well, because I finally had the chance to pursue my dream, which is to study abroad. And then other than that, I got the sponsor from the Chinese government scholarship, which makes my study process easier, because I don't have to burden my parents with all the study costs and everything, and I can learn to be more independent because of that. And then 2 years in Beijing, there are a lot of opportunities and experiences that I learned from my time in Beijing. And I met a lot of new friends. I met people from different parts of the world. And there were some activities, some cultural events where we can mingle with everybody, with like basically all the international students the university have. And it was actually eye-opening moment for me because there were some other students that actually came from a country that I never heard. I never know where it is located. I don't know if that country actually exists, but here they are studying with me in UIBE Beijing. So there was a lot of eye-opening moment for me when I was there in Beijing because I feel like I am able to open up my horizon. I can, open my eyes wider and experience a lot of new opportunities in Beijing. And then during that 2 years of studying in Beijing, I also got the opportunities to actually travel to Switzerland at that time because it was a part of the program. It was a part of the master's program, and then they have an activity where you can go to Switzerland for about a week. And then in Switzerland, we were visiting some of the big organizations offices like the WTO, and then we visited United Nations and all that. So it was a fascinating experience being able to go even further to Europe to see all these big organizations and how they work to actually make the world better or like to serve people. So it was a great opportunity to meet more people and then to expand my knowledge. So in short, with all these 2 years of experiences that I have in Beijing, I can see Beijing as a whole, and I love living in Beijing. It was a great place to live. I mean, it's busy, so it's busy, fast-paced, hectic. So if you like slow life, probably Beijing isn't the place for you. However, it's actually very modern. And then other than that, the government is very great, I would say. So they have a lot of things systemized. So the transportation system, the infrastructure, even the technology, everything is very well organized and very modern, very developed in Beijing. So it's something that I am very grateful for as well. And then other than that, I get to travel and I get to eat. So because I love to eat, and then Beijing has delicious cuisines as well. And you're not only going to find Chinese food, but you will also find other countries' food. So it's a great opportunity and experience so far. And then in my opinion, the benefits of studying abroad, the first thing, at least this is from my own experience, the first thing is to learn the culture and the language. So being in China or wherever you're going for your studying abroad, it will make you learn the culture and the language. So even if you don't want to learn the language, you still have to, because that's one way to finally be able to adapt the culture and also adapt with this living situation, especially if the language is not your first language or it's not your second language. So it's something good to learn because it's added value to your life, to your skills as well. So you have to learn the culture and learn the language, and that's part of the process. And that's actually the beauty of learning and studying abroad. And then secondly, this is one of the benefits that I love so much, is the opportunity to meet friends from all over the world. So during my time there in Beijing, at least in my major, I have no other Indonesian friends. So I'm the only Indonesian person studying that particular major. So it's kind of that experience kind of forced me to mingle with students from other countries, because otherwise I will have no friends, right? So I have to force myself to mingle with other friends. And then, but turns out it was actually a great experience, because I get to learn their cultures as well. I get to learn their languages. My best friends were from Thailand, and they trained me with Thai language every day. So I was a little bit fluent in Thai, but just a little bit, but at least I can count from 1 to 10 in Thai. So with that opportunity, I get to meet friends not only from Thailand, but at that time my classmates were from Bangladesh, from Mongolia, Russia, and then from Kazakhstan, and few other countries, and from Laos. So it's a lot of great experiences, and they're not just in classmates, but in the university as a whole, in the dormitories, outside of the university, you can meet friends from all over the world as well. And then the next thing is to travel and eat. Yeah, so I get that some people, they want to study overseas because they want to travel and eat, or they just want to travel. And in my opinion, it's actually fine to have such a reason, because it's like you're doing one thing, but you get two benefits, right? So why not? So me going to China, I traveled to several cities. I traveled to Hangzhou, and then to Shanghai, Suzhou, and Xi'an, and few other cities. So it was actually a great experiences, great traveling experiences, though I don't speak Chinese very well. But as I mentioned, if you learn the language, you can actually survive better. But anyway, from all these traveling experiences, you will also be able to learn something that, for instance, in my experience, myself, at least, China is very, very big. And then if you travel from Beijing to Shanghai, you can actually see that, oh, there are different food over there. And then the cultures are different. And then they have different dialects. And then they have different sceneries. And then if you travel to Xi'an, it's a different thing again. So it will, it will open your eyes even more wider than it actually has. And they give you more and more experiences, more things to learn from, and then more things to see. So yeah, and finally, you will be able to get your degree from your prestigious university. So whatever you will learn, I think it's the benefit of studying abroad is that one of it is that because overseas universities tends to have better quality than the university at home. At least that's based on my experience, because if I compare the Indonesian education system to Chinese education system, in my opinion, Chinese education system is way more developed, and then they are more better in terms of the knowledge, in terms of the qualities and everything, in terms of the research, in terms of the study condition and everything. China is far more ahead than Indonesia. And that's why I think by me going to China, I'm able to get my degree from a more prestigious university. So it's a higher ranking university, and then I'm exposed to more all these international experiences, being able to meet friends from all over the world. And then I can learn the language and the cultures as well, and also travel to not just China, but I traveled to other countries as well. So all of this is beneficial for my future and later on when I am trying to build my career, because I believe these days the companies, they're not just looking for smart people. They're not just looking for people who graduated from like the top ones, right? Because you can find smart people everywhere, but people with experiences and people with a lot of skills, these are also valued these days. So if you can bring more added value to your life, to your skills, to your experiences, why not, right? It's gonna bring you more opportunities in the future, and it's gonna open more doors for you. That's it. So that's it for my sharing. I hope it's useful for everybody, and then I think we're gonna have the a little bit sharing about the China admissions and global admissions as well before we go on to our Q&A session. So I'm just going to continue with my 5-minute sharing about China admissions. And then after that, my colleague Saskia, she will continue with the sharing about global admissions and how China admissions and global admissions can help you to achieve your dreams of studying abroad. And finally, we will have this open Q&A session. So if you have any questions about studying in China or studying in UK, studying in European countries, in wherever you are or wherever you want to go, you can ask us during the final Q&A session. Okay, so let me just move on to my next part of presentation, which is sharing about China admissions. So China Admissions is an award-winning platform for international students to apply to Chinese universities. And then we partner with over 200 of top Chinese universities, and we have over 150,000 registered students on our platform. So these are some of our partner universities, which include BIT, Beijing Institute of Technology, BFSU, Beijing Foreign Studies University, International Business School, and then HAS, Huazhong University of Science and Technology, Tongji University, ZAS, and few other universities. And then for the application process to study in China, in case you're interested to study in China, then here is the quick application process of review for you. So the first things first is for you to choose the program, then you can apply online, complete the online application, upload the documents, pay the application fees, and finally you can submit your application. So if you want to apply, you can just go to our website, China Admissions, for the application, and then find your programs there. And this is, I'm just going to give you a run through of how the online application works on China Admissions. And then, yeah, for example, I want to apply for bachelor's in communication. So I can just find my program here on the website. And then after that, I type the program name, for instance, communication. And then this is the program that I want to apply. I can just click apply now and then register or log into my account to start my application. So from there, it's a simple process. You just need to complete the application form and then choose the service that you want to go for. You can go for the basic service where you just need to pay the application fees only for our partner universities, or you can go for priority service, or your application submission will be prioritized. Or lastly, you can go for guaranteed application service, so we can give you extra help and care. And in case if you're interested to apply to C9 League unis like Tsinghua or Peking University, we also have another service for that, which called the Elite Service, where we can give you more help with your application, especially given the competition is really high if you're applying to that type of universities. So next part is to upload your documents. There will be a list of documents that you will need. And then you will need to pay the fees at the final step, and voila, your application is submitted. So once it's submitted to China Admissions, then we will check your application and submit it to the university. Then you will wait for the university's decision, whether or not they will accept your application. But usually for Chinese universities, usually you will have the online interview. That's a part of the application process. Unless if you're applying for Chinese government scholarship like I did, I didn't have the interview back then, but if you're applying for self-funded, it's likely there will be interviews. And then students will need to pay deposit fee if you're accepted, and then the university will process all the visa requirements once the situation is normalized or the border is open again. But right now, it's still closed, unfortunately. So you're not able to go to China yet until the border is officially open for everyone. And then for more updates, you can check our blogs and then our YouTube channel, China Admissions, and contact us for more information. And yeah, this is my part of presentation today. I'll give the floor back to Saskia, who will share more about global admissions. And finally, we will have the open Q&A session at the end. So if you have any questions, please keep it and stay until the end of this event so we can answer all of your questions one by one.
Okay, thank you, Nadia. Okay, let me share my screen, and then I'm going to be introducing global admissions to all of you. Okay, I'm just having a little bit of trouble with sharing the screen. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I think many of us have always thought of, wanting to study abroad. And maybe you guys have thought of studying in Japan, studying in China, studying in the UK, maybe in the US. Maybe you want to study somewhere where you're on the beach all the time, in South Africa. So there are many, many different places where you are able to study abroad. And Global Admissions is a sister company of China Admissions. So right now, as you guys know, the borders for China are currently closed, and we are unsure of when exactly it's going to be opening and whether or not it's going to be opening soon or if it's going to happen very fast or very slowly. So Global Admissions is a platform very similar to China Admissions, where you can apply to universities in other countries outside of China. So it's a platform for international students who wish to apply to global universities. We partner with over 100 top universities worldwide, and we have over 150,000 registered students. So international students can apply to universities in more than 20 countries on our platform, and we're always adding new countries, new universities, and new programs. So whichever program there is that you're interested in that's maybe not on the platform, you can contact us, we can add it to the platform, and you can still apply through us. So we've won several awards for China Admissions, and Global Admissions is growing very, very quickly. And you can see over here, these are some of the awards that we've won. And then our team is a multicultural team from various different backgrounds and countries. We've all studied internationally, so we've all been international students. So this is what our website looks like. So when you come here, you can either search the program over here in the search bar. You can search by universities. You can see all our articles on our blog over here. You can also see our services up here. And if you want to ask any questions or see the other commonly asked questions, you can click over here. If you wish to, you can also search by country. So that is something that's also popular if you are very set on focusing on a very specific country. So at the moment, these are the countries and regions that we cover. However, we're always adding new regions. So in the North Americas, currently we have Antigua and Barbuda, we have Canada, the United States, and the West Indies. In Europe, we have quite a lot of different countries that we cover. We have Cyprus, we have Georgia, Germany, Hungary, Italy, Romania, Scotland, the UK, Wales, and many more. In Asia, we also have quite a lot of countries. We cover China, Bangladesh, India, Japan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, and the UAE. And here we also cover Australia and New Zealand. So this is what it will look like if you search for the programs. Like, for example, if you search software engineering, you might get these different programs that will pop up. You will also see that all the information for this program is here. So you can see a shorter version. You can see when it starts. You can see how much it costs yearly, how long it is, when's the application deadline, what language it is in, where it's located. And if you click on that, you'll be able to be taken into a bigger page where it explains in detail all the different documents you require, what you'll be studying in that degree, and how to obtain those documents. So you'll be able to find that all on our website. So a lot of people might ask, why should I apply through Global Admissions? Like, what do we do? So we're an agent, we help you apply, and we have a free service, obviously, if not everyone wants to apply with the guaranteed service. So we do have a free service. This means that we don't charge any service fee to help you apply. It is for free. So the only thing that you need to pay is the application fee required by the universities. Also, please note that there are some universities that do not have application fees. However, and they might be no tuition universities, you will still be required to show a bank statement that shows that you are capable of covering your life costs while studying abroad, and that you have enough funds to move to that country. So we are a one platform for all. You can search and apply to multiple overseas universities on just one platform. So you can apply to one university in the UK, one university in Australia, one university in the US. So all on this platform for you. And we're very responsive. Us as the professional counselors, we're available to help you from end to end. If you want to contact us, if you send us an email, we'll get back to you within one day. And we have helped more than 3,000 students to study in China from 192 countries since 2015. So here you can see some of the different universities that you can apply for. We have Adelphi University over here. We have Arden University. We have many different universities that you can apply for. You can also apply, you can also search for programs by choosing the program type. So if you're interested in foundation programs, or maybe you're interested in a short-term program, maybe you want an online program, bachelor's, master's, PhD, you can search for it. And we do have a very good blog on our website as well. So if you go to the articles part of the website, you'll be able to see all the articles that we publish. We publish very regularly, and it's very, very helpful information if you are interested in applying. So you can see over here, we have a global scholarship guide. We have something explaining the university transfer service, of why Spain is a good place to study abroad, the ultimate guide to study in Taiwan. So that is very helpful if you are looking for extra information. We also have a YouTube channel that is growing very fast. It's called Global Admissions. And you can see a lot of very great videos that we've made, like, for example, 57 free universities with no tuition, 3 steps to transfer universities, how to study in South Africa, how to study in Spain, how to study in Italy. Those videos are on there. And if you want to look for the programs, you can find us on this link. So if you copy this link, you'll be able to find our website. And you can also find us on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and on Instagram. You can also scan this WeChat code here, and then you'll be able to be added into a WeChat group as well. If you want to email us, you can email us at apply@globaladmissions.com. Okay, so now we are going to be going to our live Q&A. So if you guys have any questions that you would like to ask us, please ask us, and then we will be answering them for you live.
There is one question, Saskia, from the chat box. So, hello, I'm Husna from Afghanistan. I'm leaving HSK4. I want to come to China. I want to become a businesswoman. Can you please help me to find good university in China?
Okay. Well, Husna, so what you can do is you can go to our website at China Admissions, or you could also send us an email or book a call with us, and we can help you go through the different programs that we have. So I'm assuming when you said leaving HSK4 that you have HSK4, you've reached that level in Chinese, which is good. That if you want to possibly apply for a program that is in Chinese, that might be very beneficial or interesting to you. So what you can do is any program that you're interested in, there's obviously a lot of different business programs, but you could maybe start by searching the keyword business in the search bar and seeing which programs pop up that are interesting to you. It also depends on what kind of program you're interested in. If you're interested in studying a bachelor's, maybe you have a bachelor's, and maybe you want to apply for a master's. Maybe you want to do a non-degree program. So I think that there are definitely a lot of very good universities in China. And one good thing is that sometimes when people think of the Chinese universities, they might think of the 3 biggest ones. They might think of Peking, Tsinghua, or Fudan, which they're very, very good universities, but they are quite difficult to get into. And there are still a lot of very, very good options available that are also much more cheap and easier to get into. And as these, like, for example, if you apply to Shenzhen University, as Shenzhen becomes a bigger part of the economy and it becomes like the Silicon Valley of the East, it's a very big and important city in China. And the university is quite recent. However, this means that as the city grows and the city becomes more important, your degree will also become a lot more important. So your degree grows, and that will allow you to have a degree that becomes more and more important and impressive as time goes on. So I think that's something to keep in mind, that there are a lot of very good universities that you can apply for.
Oh yeah, feel free to unmute iPhone, and then you can continue and ask your questions.
I see there is another question over here that is, maybe Nadia, you can answer this one. Someone who wants to ask about admission in the UK.
Yeah, so for admissions in the UK, so it depends on which program or which universities that you want to apply for. But for that, you can check our website, Global Admissions, for more information, because we definitely will need more details from you, such as which programs that you want to apply for, which intake are you applying for next year or the following year. So we'll need more information from you to help you apply and to help you choose the programs or choose the universities in UK or wherever you want to go. Yeah. But anyway, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself, and then you can just ask the questions to our team.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Thanks. I'm Hosna from Afghanistan, and I'm 18 years old. Next year, I want to come to China to study business bachelor. And because in Afghanistan it's a war and I cannot make a diploma, so I don't know how I can make a solution to make diploma and go to university. Right now, I'm studying HSK4. And also in here, I cannot pass the exam, the HSK exam. And so I don't know what should I do.
Maybe Saskia can help to answer.
Okay, so this might be a bit more of a tricky one, because usually when you apply, you are required to give some kind of documentation of education. So if you're applying for possibly like a non-degree program, or if you're applying for a bachelor's, you're usually required to give like a high school graduation certificate. And if it's difficult, if it's not possible to give that in, it is possible for us that we could ask the universities if there's any way, but you will still have to give some kind of a way of showing them what your grades are and what level of education you are in, and that's why people require it. So maybe there is a possibility of, if there is a possibility, any possibility whatsoever in getting a high school graduation certificate, that is something that you would need to think about, if there's any way of doing that. And if there's possibly a way for you to maybe take another type of test that is almost the same as doing, like, for example, taking an SAT, that kind of test also counts as doing or doing a high school graduation. So maybe that is another way of showing that you've reached that level, because otherwise they're not going to know what level, like academic level you are on. You'll also need to be able to show that what your grades are, just so that they know if you can keep up in the classes. Maybe it would be a possibility for you to do a non-degree program first, and to use that as a way to show that you're at a certain level, to then apply for a degree program afterwards, like maybe a foundation program.
Okay.
As for HSK4, it's good if you have a certain level. However, I think that if you don't have the official certificate, you can't really study in Chinese, because they will require you to have the official certificate. But what is possible is that you can apply for English programs if you have a high enough English level, and start with that. And once you're in China, you could write the official HSK test and keep that as a way of showing your Chinese level.
Because I think my English is not very good, and I think the Chinese is better. I study university in Chinese language.
Yes, yes, yes. So
Yeah,
to apply for
this,
the Chinese programs, you're going to have the official HSK certificate in order to apply.
yeah, and this is also a problem because of the Taliban. The girls cannot study in Afghanistan, and last year I finished my high school, so also diploma is a very big problem. I have so much stress because maybe next year the China is open and I can go to China, but without diploma, I don't know how to tell the university I finished my high school.
Yes, yes. No, that's definitely a very big problem, and I think that that's not something that a lot of universities are going to be able to understand. So I think that when it comes to that, also you will need to keep in mind that the borders of China are not open at the moment. So if you do get into the university and get accepted, you will have to continue with online classes, and you'll have to think about because we don't know if the borders will be opening this year, next year, and how long it will take for them to open. So it might be quite a difficult situation of trying to apply to China. So maybe another option is to think about other countries other than China. Like, for example, applying to maybe German universities or European universities, where a lot of those universities are also a lot more lenient when it comes to countries that are dealing with war. They are a lot more lenient with accepting certain certificates, or maybe not accepting these certificates and accepting, maybe you just do a different type of test and you can apply to study at that university. They're a lot more forgiving when it comes to that.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Do we have any other questions?
No, thank you.
Okay. Nadia, can you think of any questions that we commonly get asked a lot?
I think commonly is about the application period for the universities, and then like also about the intakes, when usually the intake starts. Because people from different parts of the world, they can also finish their studies at different times. So some of them, they finish the study by summer, so they can then join the September intake. But for some others, they will only finish by the end of this year. And then some of them get confused of like which country they should go for, because a lot of the students, they don't want to do gap year, and they just don't want to do 6 months doing nothing. They would rather go to the university and study, right? So I think it's one of the most common question, and also about the application documents. Usually, what type of documents that students will need for the university application?
Yes, I think that also when it comes to like the application period, for me as a South African, we have a different application period than China, for example. So I usually start my academic year in January. However, in China, it starts in September. So I had to wait 6 months in order to actually start my degree program. And what I did was I did a non-degree program in China at Shenzhen University, where I just did Chinese language training. And I think it was still a very good experience. So there are, if you possibly, maybe you graduated in South Africa and you want to study in somewhere that has like a 6-month period where you have to wait, maybe you can think of doing a non-degree program in the meanwhile, while you're waiting to get accepted for the degree program. I think it's also a very good experience. So that's something to possibly consider as well. Yeah, so when it comes to like application documents and what is needed, please be aware that if you're applying for something that's maybe a non-degree program or a bachelor's program, you might not have to give so many documents. However, if you're applying for master's and PhD, you have to give in quite a lot of documents. So it's very common that you'll be asked to have letters of recommendation. Commonly, we ask for 2 letters of recommendation, because even if it's not required, it is beneficial for your application to have it. You will have to write a personal statement, which it should be longer if you're applying for a higher degree. If it's a bachelor's, it should commonly just be 1 page. And that basically explains like, why are you applying to that university? Why do you want to do that program? And what are you going to use it for in your life? Kind of in a way, just telling them why you've made this decision. And if it's a master's, maybe it'll be 2 pages or 1.5 pages. And for a PhD, it might be a bit longer. Also, if you're applying for a PhD, you might be asked to give in some research or a thesis, something that basically says what you wish your thesis to be about, which might be a very large document. It might be up to like 20 pages of explaining why you want to research this topic. So don't be surprised if that's one of the requirements, because that is very common. You will also need to sometimes give in a bank statement, which shows your proof of funds, even if you are applying for scholarships, because there is a possibility you don't get those scholarships, and you need to be able to prove that even if you don't get that scholarship, you do have proof of funds to study at the university. You will have to also have your high school graduation certificate, and you will also need to have an English language certificate if you are studying in English. Your English language certificate should be an IELTS test or a TOEFL test, or possibly you can, if you studied your high school education or bachelor's education in English before, you can get an English language letter from the university or high school that will basically state with your high school stamp and the headmaster's signature that you did study in English before, and that can be a way of giving in an English language certificate. And then also you need to give in your high school transcripts and also university transcripts if you studied in university before. So those are the common ones. Oh, and then also passport scan. Don't just take a picture of it with your phone, a scan, proper scan, where you see both sides, the top page of the passport and the bottom page of the passport. We need to see that. And then also we need to have a picture of you. So that is kind of like an ID picture or a passport picture with a white background. It's just a picture like that, normal picture you'd apply for a passport with.
Great. It's very complete, guys. I hope you take a note of that. But if you don't, you can always visit Global Admissions and China Admissions for more info and detailed information about the documents that you will need for your university application.
I think there's one more question we get asked very often, and that's about scholarships. Okay, so maybe Nadia, you want to answer that one?
For scholarships in China, I think the most common ones that they will ask, that students normally ask, is about the Chinese government scholarship, which is the fully funded scholarship. So I think this is one of the most generous scholarships that ever existed, because you get sponsored for everything, basically. So you will get free tuition fee, and then the accommodation is also paid for, and you will also get a living cost, monthly living stipend from the government to expand for you to be able to fund your studies throughout the entire study period. And then for Chinese government scholarship, it will only cover the Chinese taught bachelor's program, and then the English and Chinese taught master's and PhD program. So make sure that you take a note of that, because I know there are a lot of bachelor students that were asking us about this, whether or not they can apply for CSC, but turns out they're applying for English taught bachelor's program, and unfortunately it's not covered by CSC anymore. So if you want to go for scholarships, you need to find different type of scholarships, like the scholarships offered from the university or maybe from the local government in China. Yeah, anyway, to apply for Chinese government scholarships, generally there are 2 ways on how you can do it. You can either apply through the Chinese embassy in your home country. So make sure you ask them about the application period, because different embassies, they have different application time. So make sure you don't miss that. And then secondly, you can apply through the university. And if you decided to apply through the university, generally the application deadline would be around the end of March. So if you apply earlier, that would be better, because after March, they will no longer accept the scholarships application. So it means you have to wait for another year to apply for the scholarships if you really want the scholarship. So another tips for me is, other than applying on time, is make sure that you fulfill all the documents required, like each one of them. And then because it's actually very important, I think some students, they don't realize how important these documents are, but it's actually very important. And it's how the university will judge your application performance, are mainly based on your based on all of the documents that you submitted. So make sure that you submit all of your documents well. And then also you need to allow some of your time, maybe 2 or 3 months, just to prepare for your documents, because some of these documents, like the English certificate or the recommendation letters or even the personal statements, they need you will need some time to be able to collect and make these documents, or to ask for your professors to write it. So please make sure that when you're applying to a university, you need to have some sort of like a timeline for yourself, like what's the preparation stage would be. And then let's say you're choosing the program is the first start, right? So you can choose the program and then go on with with the preparation, like preparing all the documents. And then in some countries, they will ask you to provide the non-criminal record or medical examination form, which in some cases, it could take forever. Yeah, or you have to go through different police stations just to get this piece of paper. That's what happened to me in Indonesia. I have to go through 3, 4 different police stations just to get this one piece of paper, and it's a hassle and it takes me forever. So anyway, that's why you need to allow some time to be able to get all these documents, because it's better to apply as early as possible rather than doing it last minute. Because if you're doing the scholarships or the self-funded scholarship, the self-finance application last minute, there are some potential risks to it. You can risk of being late in the application submission, or you probably will not be able to get the admissions itself because the program is already full and they don't have enough seats for you. So yeah, that's why we always suggest students to apply as early as possible.
Yes, and also please keep in mind that when we have a deadline on our website, that generally we don't really accept applications 10 days before the deadline for that program. We might accept it if you have all of your documents absolutely perfectly ready. But the reason is because we have a lot of applications that we have to process, especially when it gets to very close to a deadline. And because it gets very hectic during that time when you have a new student that is applying and they might not have all of their documents ready, or maybe they don't have any of their documents ready, there's not really a chance that if they have it ready, maybe the day before the deadline, that we can hand it in on time. So if it is very, very close to the deadline, then we don't really recommend applying maybe through us. Maybe you need to apply directly to the university unless you have all of your documents ready, because we cannot guarantee that we can get it in on time. And then one last thing, a lot of people ask about MBBS scholarships in China. So keep in mind that the MBBS program, or the medical bachelor's, is very difficult and competitive to get into. And it is quite a long program. It's quite an expensive program, and there aren't any scholarships that really cover medical programs. So keep that in mind when applying for it. There's not really scholarship. The MBBS program isn't covered in the Chinese government scholarship. It's not covered by many other scholarships. So keep that in mind. It's a very expensive program and it's not really covered by scholarships. So don't really get your hopes up if you're thinking that you're going to try and apply for the MBBS and do it completely underneath the scholarship, because it's going to be very difficult to apply for them.
I think one of the student, Moses, he might have a question.
Yeah, I have a question. Good day.
Good day.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm Moses from West Africa, Nigeria.
Yes.
Yeah, my question goes like this. I need a proper way of getting a scholarship. Yeah, maybe government scholarship. Yeah.
Yes.
That's the question.
Okay, so which program are you interested in applying for?
Computer science and engineering.
Okay, so if you're
I'm
applying
studying
for a
computer
scholarship,
science and engineering. Yeah.
So if you're applying for a scholarship, please keep in mind that we don't process scholarship applications for you. So you would have to apply for the scholarship yourself through the university that offers it, or the scholarship guide that offers the scholarship. So you would have to apply directly by yourself. We won't be processing the scholarship for you. We do have some guides on our website for applying for scholarships, but also keep in mind that if you're applying to an English bachelor's program in China, that it's not really covered by the scholarships. It's only the Chinese bachelors that are covered, and then English taught masters and PhDs that are covered by that. And then when it comes to other universities in other countries outside of China, maybe Europe or America, the scholarships look very different, and you might need to apply directly through the university for those scholarships.
Okay. Okay. That's okay. I understand. It's pressure.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
If that's all, then I think we can wrap up our event.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for joining the China Admissions and Global Admissions Q&A. And if you want to send us any kind of email where you ask us questions about studying abroad, or maybe you want to apply, you can either email us at apply@chinaadmissions. Remember, there's a hyphen.com. And then also you can email us at apply@globaladmissions.com if you're interested in studying in countries outside of China. And you can also find us on YouTube. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and you can scan the code on Wechat to join the group and be informed of all of our future events. Thank you guys so much for joining today's event. Thank you, Nadia, as well. And we'll see you guys in our next event. Okay. Thank you, everyone.